Pep likes giving a little bit of a demonstration.
A demo, but never joins in the small side.
Because he's got a very good touch.
Yeah, but he will have one. He's
got a very, very good touch. And
what's his one thing that he joins in on? If you said to me, Pep's going to join in and show his quality in the training, what would it be?
He called it the dinky do. Welcome to the Kyle Walker podcast.
With Michael Brown as a add-on? Or does that work?
No,
or not? Okay, welcome to the Kyle Walker podcast with a special guest, Michael Brown.
No. Welcome to the Kyle Walker podcast with Michael Brown.
Yes, that's better. Smoother, cleaner. What we got?
Well, we've got a lot to talk about. We've got a lot to talk about. Serie v the Premier League.
Interesting.
What else have we got? Tackling during your career. That's one for you, isn't it? I think that'll just be you talking.
Do you think I've made this one up?
How long have we got?
We've got 4 hours, 30 minutes. That's as long as this pod can go on for.
Another one, tackling in training.
Yeah,
like that.
For Michael Brown. That's good.
Well, let's get it going.
Tackling. What about physicality, Premier League, compared to Italy? Come on. What's it like? The tempo, the game? It's not just tackling. It's like tempo.
I think it's two completely different games.
Why?
I feel the Premier League's something different. The speed of the Premier League is a lot quicker. Obviously here I think it's a lot more tactical and you have to be more shrewd in, like we're going to talk about your tackling.
We can have half a mention of that, can't we? So when you say about, physicality, so what the tackling side of it, so is it standoff? Is it all... I don't know. Do you know you can tackle it with your full body sort of thing when you're getting blocks? That's a form of tackling and arms and...
Yeah.
But you don't go to ground as much, do the slide tackles so much? What is it?
I think mainly here it's stay on your feet for as long as possible. Obviously it's a contact sport. There's going to be contact, throughout the game, throughout the 90 minutes. There's going to be fouls. There's going to be clever fouls, some silly fouls, but the game doesn't change. We're still playing a game of football. But I think maybe the force of the tackling, you might not have been too... You have got a few yellow cards or maybe a few more reds.
So the force is less in Italy than it is in England?
I think it's less tolerated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you go over with a slight showing of force, that would be clamped upon very, very quickly.
Well, I think I think the VAR would definitely check that. And, I think players here, can't remember the game now, but someone's come over or hit me on the shins. Normally it probably would have been a red card, but me being in the Premier League, I just thought it was a mistime challenging and get up. Where some of the lads saying you probably needed to stay down for a few more seconds and let the referee check it. I probably made the referee's mind up by saying play on, where
it's interesting that the viewpoint.
It was one of them ones.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was an orange. It was an orange. It could have been a red. It could have been a yellow, but I probably got up a little bit too quick, and that's something that I've had to adapt to and learn to.
It'll be the same, won't it? Do you know, like certain teams you play for here, where you make certain tackles and the crowd go straight up on their feet, don't they? Because they love that sort of the side of like shows like you care, rather than you can say, well, I do care when I take the ball under pressure. It's totally a different, like, do you feel like that side of like the Milan crowd, if you slide in and win the ball in a full-back position, do you feel like they get right on it more than another club, or very similar?
I think every team, every set of fans loves a challenge. They love a good old challenge and a fair challenge. I can say honestly, I've never gone into a challenge wanting to hurt anyone. Like, I've never done that because I go in fairly. But I think you just have to use your head and make sure you're savvy with it, with your challenges. If it's needed, you go in. If not, try and stay on your feet for as long as possible.
It's still an art, isn't it? It's an art tackling. Timing it. It doesn't have to be really strong, but to tackle, to actually understand when to go to ground, when to nick it, to slide around the corner, to anticipate it. You'll say defenders are the best tacklers, won't you? I'm sure you'll say that.
I'd probably say defenders, yes, but I'd still say number 6 is your positions. In the centre of midfield, there's a lot of 50-50 challenges.
Best in the Milan squad? Best sort of breaker up, or a person who can go and pinch the ball, tackling wise?
Fofana, Fofana. He's very good at sussing out,
Reading it
getting
well.
on getting on the second balls. You've got Musa, the American that is a grafter, and I think the fans see that. The fans see that, and the fans appreciate that because, as I said to some of the lads here, talent-wise, it's incredible. If I had half of the talent that some of these have got, I'd be blessed. But one thing that we can all do is run around and show a little bit of desire on the pitch, and that just comes from within you and your desire and wanting to be better than your opponent. Here is a lot of man-to-man, so it's a lot of personal duels.
Oh, the man-to-man. I mean,
The
that's
man-to-man.
weird, isn't it? Because you're like, give us a yard, will you, mate? Do you know, like, and that gets you frustrated straight away when you know the second you touch it, that challenge has come in, so you have to look over your shoulder all the time or try and... Do you feel like you have to get away a little bit? Well, it's different because you'll never get man-to-man marked, if you know what I mean, because you're the defensive side. But as a midfielder, if you have to track each other...
From the goal kick, it's man-to-man. I was very, privileged and honoured to play at Manchester City when we probably, I could say, not being big-headed, but probably dominated English football for a long period of time. We have one season where we didn't win, the league, where Liverpool deservedly went and won the league, but not many teams would play Manchester City man for man. So to come here and all of a sudden now, no matter where you go, people play man for man, it's a little bit of I would probably think of 2 teams out of the 7.5 years that I played at City that did man for man, and that was Bielsa's Leeds and Brighton.
They
have done
won
it.
at the Etihad, didn't they?
Yeah,
Leeds
they
under
did, yeah,
Bielsa,
yeah,
That's Stuart Dallas who scored.
It
Is there
was.
one player you wouldn't want to man mark when you talk about tackling and talk about getting close to someone? Do you know, because I've tried a few times in midfield to
Yeah.
go and jump on someone. I just love it and like go, right, okay,
Yeah.
I'll do it. And then it feels a bit weird, doesn't it? That you like, if you were getting man marked as well, you walk somewhere random and you're looking and they follow and you're
And
like,
they're there, yeah.
really? It's like a bit
really,
of
are
fun.
you
Isn't it?
actually coming? But I think
Yeah.
that's it's the chess game, isn't it? When it's man for man, you kind of try and pull people out and call the bluff. Like, do you want to come here? And especially for defenders, I can only speak as a defender. Sometimes I used to hate playing against City when I was at Tottenham and Nasri, because if people was to say, okay, who is the hardest player that you've played against? People are going to say Mbappé, Mane, Neymar, Vinicius Jr, these types of players. But when I think about the most intelligent, who I didn't really
Is that
like
because
to
they've
play
had the
against,
better of you quite a lot of times, or
who?
them players that you've just
You're laughing. It's been a good battle. I won't be confident
There
and
he is. You
big-headed.
got to nibble, everyone. We
I
got
won't be confident, but
bite.
I would say we've had good battles. But Sammy Nasri, I always remember, he used to stand in pockets where...
Pockets.
as
What
a-
is pockets? Is that like a new word? Like, is it like what is it? Space?
Well, you stand in a pocket of space that as a right back, it's very unnatural for you to go into that position. It doesn't feel normal. So you used to come inside. You think, as a younger player that I was then, do I go in and follow him? Do I leave him? But then all of a sudden, Clichy used to be on the overlap, running in behind you. And I think that's the relationship that they built, together with playing, obviously a number of years at Arsenal together. They took that to Manchester City. And I always thought whenever I came against City, when Nasri and Clichy was playing, it was always going to be a tough game. But, these days you don't really get teams when I'd say one of the bigger clubs that are going to go man for man. I mean, even Arsenal did it when they came to the Etihad. I remember, was it Rob Holding that was marking Erling at the Etihad? And when someone's got the quality as Erling's got, with the strength and the speed and the size, it's going to be tough. You have to sometimes half hold your hands up and say, we can't go man for man, and we're going to have to let them play out from the back. And then as soon as they come into that second block, we're then going to go and attack them from there.
Into the pocket, remember?
Into the pocket, yeah. The pocket. Your pockets are stitched up, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. They are at the moment, yeah. They are at the moment, that's all I can say, yeah. They are.
Yeah. So,
it's not great,
yeah,
is it?
it's one of them ones. It's one of them ones where I think intelligent players suss things out differently. And
I bet,
you have to
tell you what
adapt.
you would have liked playing 10 years earlier with me.
I'd
You
have
would
loved
have.
it.
Honestly, you
I'd
would
have
have
loved
loved it
it.
because it was just a little bit, like within it was just a little bit more physical. Although there is some great things about the game, and I understand why it has changed and it had to change. But when I played, I did even that first 5 or 10 years that I played when I started my debut at 17, etc. It was so tough. It was strong. It was physical. It was demanding. You had to watch around your corner because people were committed, but then obviously it was just the normal side of it. That you sort of accept that someone's going to come really strong, committed,
Yeah.
and the game has changed.
No, the game has changed. I think the quality of the players that we're seeing in this day and age, in the last episode, we were talking about Myles. This is a 17, 18-year-old that's just broke onto the scene at Arsenal, and all of a sudden he's taking the international stage in his stride, which is, could I have done that at his age? Maybe not. Maybe
Does he
not.
have a
But
tackle and training? Is he physical? Is he
he is
strong? Can you
physical.
see?
He's
Brilliant.
he reminds me of a little bit of a guest that we had on the first season, Danny
Danny
Rose.
Rose, yeah.
Yeah, he reminds me of Danny Rose, how he plays. He uses his body well, and he's got a good left foot on it and a good football brain. So I think the game's changed, as you just said, but sometimes I do wish that we could go back to the old days. I remember going down to Northampton, or the most recent one that I had was the battle at the bridge with Chelsea v Tottenham, where there was a few challengers flying in, and you're thinking,
It was just a proper battle, but no,
Yeah.
like the point is no silly tackles, but just
No,
strong,
no.
physical,
Strong, yeah, fair.
committed, end-to-end football, quick, keep it playing, that advantage rule, and that's what we're talking about, aren't we? Of having that type of football. I was just reading here, it said, Paolo Maldini once said, if you have to make a tackle, then you've already made a mistake. Is that fair or
Yeah,
not?
I think that's fair. I think
Have
that's
you?
fair.
But what happens if someone's, so your team have made a mistake, not necessarily individual, because you've got through particular
Correct.
position, so then you have to recover, and then it's a challenge because you have. If it's in your area, what you could say, well, he's gone behind me, so my position was wrong. But if you go to cover someone else,
I think you can understand that the statement that he's made, and I think who am I to question Maldini's footballing brain, because what he did in football, he's probably one of the greats, definitely for me. But I understand that he's probably saying that you're probably not in the correct position. If you're making a tackle, you're probably out of position slightly for you to be lunging in or sliding in to be making that tackle. So I definitely can understand his quote there.
There is a few players you've not had to tackle like that, isn't there? Do you know, like you talk about Rio Ferdinand, Ledley King. They had to sort of just, they knew the area that we're at. They could just stay up.
I think even now in the modern day, Virgil van Dijk, very rarely you see him tackle. He backs his speed, he backs his strength, and he backs his knowledge of the game. You don't see him flying into challenges and stuff like that. He kind of slows people down, waits for cover to come in, and it's good defending. It's good defending, and defending is not just about tackling and smashing people. Sometimes you have to use your head, and I think, especially in the modern day, I think you probably hit your peak as a defender at 30, 31. You're still learning your trade.
You're supposed to say 34 there, aren't you?
I think 34, you're even wiser. You're even wiser. I feel now I don't make as many challenges that I used to make, probably because I'm more or less 9 times out of 10, I'd like to think that I'm in the right position.
It's harder though, isn't it? Because the referee, as soon as you make that challenge, you look at 6 or 7 angles and you think it's more aggressive or more dangerous to a player, where a former player would look at that and say, well, he couldn't really get out of the way. He actually had to go for that. That was where the angle was taking him, and that's the other point, isn't it?
I think with VAR and VAR and stuff like that, when you slow things down, the player has less than a second to make the decision whether he thinks it's right or wrong. If you slow down something, a picture can tell a thousand different stories of what it is. So we have to adapt to it. This is the game. We're not making excuses, but it's the way the game's moving now with the technology and stuff. I mean, even now the referees are speaking into the stadiums around the.
That's a bit
crowd.
Awkward, that, isn't it? That's a bit awkward
I
about
don't
what the
mind
attacker
it.
is. Well, because you
I
know
don't
what, then you
mind it.
know the answer, and everyone knows what it's for
But I
and
think
why. And it's
everyone,
clear.
obviously, when you're in the stand as a supporter,
you
obviously see the VAR and it's a potential handball or a potential penalty. But they don't replay the incident on the big screens. So you basically wait for that screen to then turn to a penalty or wait for the referee's whistle. But I think when the referee's talking to you over the, what's it called, antennoids?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
Brilliant.
good word.
Well
That.
done.
Keep that
Well
in.
done.
Can we all
Yeah.
keep that in, please? Yeah, that's
Is
perfect.
it that? Is
no,
that?
just
that
carry
right?
on. That's perfect. Just
Antennas.
exactly. Yeah,
What is
exactly
it called?
that is
The,
perfect.
like the loudspeakers.
Yes, exactly that. It's amazing.
In the ground.
That is
I think
exactly what we're looking for.
I think it gives everyone the
If that doesn't make
information
this
that
cut, I'm not doing any more podcasts, just so everybody knows.
What's
please.
it called?
Yeah, it's called that. We don't need to go any further.
The producer, can you tell me what it's called?
No, we don't need to know. But anyway, on a serious note, I've been on the end of some really strong tackles. We started when I was a kid. Barry Orr, midfield at Everton. Oh my, I thought I'd run into a truck. Vinnie Jones. Early on, he'd love a go and coming, oof, that's five. A bit later on. Do you know what surprises you? Paul Scholes.
Yeah.
He'd be fully committed. And none of these are really bad ones. Steven Gerrard, I just felt like I really like Steven Gerrard because he had everything, that commitment-wise and quality. But tackle-wise, commitment, strength, you know you're in a game. And that's what we want, isn't it? Do you know, I bet you've come out of some and you're thinking, wow, you've just gone into one. And it's like that sound, isn't it, as the ball goes and then the challenge.
I remember at Tottenham when Victor Wanyama and Moussa Dembele was there. And in training, you used to hear that sound of, like the legs just smashing against each other. And that were two big lads. And you half wince, like when they went into a challenge together, because they know that they were both fully committed to it. It didn't want to hurt each other. Obviously, they were playing both for the same team, but it showed the desire and they wanted to be the best in training. And I think that just shows, why they both had such fantastic careers.
It's important, isn't it? Because even when you talk about training, like the lads don't wear shin pads, you just wear a little ankle sock.
We do now. We have to.
Oh, you have to now. Right, okay. And that's just at AC Milan.
No. AC Milan. AC Milan.
AC
So
Milan,
England,
you
don't
have
to. So yeah, AC Milan, the manager
So
likes
is
you
it
to wear.
amazing that in training, even without pads, because you know you're all committed, the guys know how to tackle and you're trying to respect each other, but it still gets really strong, doesn't it? Where everyone's flying in that last challenge to stop a goal or a particular break. And there's some big, I said some of the biggest sessions I had with no shin pads in training with an ankle sock.
Yeah.
And it was just that physical, and everyone would just, continue and carry on because they were committed session. I remember at Wigan at one point, it was every day. It was so
put
tough.
socks down there.
Titus Bramble. I mean, you don't want to run into Titus Bramble, do you? That's for certain,
No.
And you get a tackle off him.
And if you're up for more insight, analysis, stories of the game, look no further than the Football Daily Podcast. Daily episodes of all the latest Premier League, EFL and European football. Plus the interviews with big names from across the footballing world. Subscribe and listen on BBC Sounds.
What about the managers? I mean, some don't like it one bit, do they? Like Thursday, Friday towards a game, or they're like no contact. You got to be very careful. But I think Pep's sessions were still. There's still tempo. You had to have tempo. Your small-sided games were still normal. I had other managers day before a game, and it would be like you can't even touch anyone. Pure paranoia. But I feel now like the modern day is you train to a high level. And whoever gets, if you miss a day for a knock or an ankle tear, like a sprain or whatever, that is what it is.
Yeah, I think it's competitive, and especially, I can speak, for all the clubs that I played at. When you have that Friday, I remember younger when you used to play the starters v the non-starters.
That was interesting, wasn't it?
It was interesting.
Has that ever happened to you? Because were you ever in the non-starter team?
I was very fortunate not to be in that for too many times.
Yeah, but you've been here a few times.
But I have been
What's
in
it
a
like?
few times.
Tell us about that. When you want to have a strong session, you want to go physical because you're just trying to do well.
Yeah.
Agree? So you're there, you go, right, I need to set the tone. I want to do as well as I can in this session, but that involves going tight, tackling, affecting the game, stopping someone playing, yet it's a day before a game and you're almost not allowed. It's so tough, isn't it?
When you always played them games, the team that wasn't starting would always win because they're angry, they're more G'd up. The other lads are like, got a little bit of a cigar out, thinking, okay, I'm just going to take that steady because I'm starting tomorrow. But also, I've seen people flying into challenges, thinking, well, if I can get him injured, I'm playing tomorrow. And it's the nature of the game. It's the nature of the game. It's kind of a dog eat dog, and everyone wants to be playing. And especially, I can say at Manchester City, there was a team of 24 quality players that would probably walk into any team in the Premier League. So whenever the manager did name, more or less, he would name it on the day of the game, because he would like everyone to prepare properly. I think the downside of naming the team the day before the game is some of the lads probably wouldn't eat the right pre-match that they was going to eat if they wasn't starting. Maybe they might go to sleep a little bit later. But I know some players that hate not knowing the day before. But I think it's about personal preference down to the manager. He's the manager, he decides what he wants to do. And Pep sometimes named it 2 days before, 1 day before, or right just before he was going to the ground. It all depended on what he felt at the certain time.
There was reports of Thomas Tuchel. I heard the guys on the radio saying that someone had released that they didn't know the team right up until really late with Thomas Tuchel. For me, I actually liked to know the day before at least. And one of my reasons was, I mean, this is just a daft one, because one, I can prepare, I can get fully focused and ready, and you should be. But let's be honest, when you're starting, you go that extra mile, don't you? That little bit more. What the managers will say, well, we need everyone to be like that. I wanted to know for family. So my dad would travel for miles and miles, and I just wanted to know if that was the case, do you know? And I think, so you'll be the same, won't you? Do you know, when you play a particular game, whether you want, you know, some of your family to go to the game, or whether it's a night game, you know, you can't always get that, you know, in different scenarios.
What do you do? Do you go up to the manager and say, am I starting?
Any chance you could tell me, yeah.
Because my dad needs to travel down. It's just not a question that you can ask. I think sometimes family don't really understand that's a level of respect to your teammates, that you can't go and ask the manager if you're starting because your mum and dad need to drive down from Sheffield to London. It's just,
yeah, it's hard, isn't it?
It's one of them. But I still feel that I've always said it, and this is the player that said this to me that stuck into my head was Scott Carson. It's not starters and subs, it's starters and finishers.
Oh, that's rocket science from Carson, isn't it?
Yeah, but it is.
I mean, come on, who's giving him that? Because he hasn't thought of that, has he?
Well, I don't know.
This finishes, who's giving that? He's like now, like Pep's perfect, like team scenario.
No, but
do you know
for
what?
him, he's class around the place. He is class. And for someone of his age to have played the amount of games that he's played, bearing in mind
he does well for 41 now, doesn't he?
I don't think he's 41.
No, he's not, but it sounds good.
39.
Let's put it out there.
He's 39.
Let's stick it out there, Scotty.
To come in every day, and I think that people don't understand that, to come in every day knowing that you're the third choice keeper, I think he's probably played 1 or 2 games of his City career. It's mentally, I have to take my hat off to him, and I've always said it to him, you know.
He's very committed to give to the team for not playing and having that reward at the weekend. And everyone will say, well, he gets paid and that's it. But still, it's tough, isn't it? You know, to be there for somebody else.
Scott Carson could retire. Scott Carson could retire. He's had a fantastic career, and I'm sure that he could quite be comfortable on retiring. But to still have the love for football and doing what he does just shows the character that he is. And again, these are the people that you need in the team. It's not just about the starters. It's about the finishers as well, and the people that
finishers. Do the finishers still get to tackle as well? Do you know what I mean? Does Scotty Carson have a tackle? Goalkeepers can tackle as well. What about in training? We used to have managers who would join in. What about this for danger? On a Friday when they've named the team.
Yeah.
And then you do your 5-a-side.
Do you want to name the manager?
Well, I remember at Wigan, Steve Bruce used to join in at times, and then he'd named the team already because he'd done the set pieces and then they'd do the 5-a-side.
Did anyone want to leave anything on him?
There's a few people saying, come on, Bruce, drop one short for Steve. Yeah. He loved it, though. He wasn't bothered, but there's a few. No. And what managers have you had who've joined in the sessions? Is there any, or have you sort of missed it?
I think I missed it. I think at youth level, Scott Sellers, I don't know if you can remember him, the winger that played for Newcastle. He used to join in, but he was the best player in the youth team when we used to play. Keith Kill did a little bit at QPR.
Kerry could still play for me. He was fine.
He did a little bit at QPR when I was playing under him Obviously, he was the assistant to Neil Warnock. Pep likes giving a little bit of a demonstration,
a demo, but never joins in the small side.
because he's got a very good touch.
What's his? Yeah, well, he will have one. He's
got a very, very good touch. And
what's his one thing that he joins in on? If you said to me, Pep's going to join in and show his quality in the training, what would it be? A free kick? Would it be a ball out to a wide area?
He called it the dinky do. So, the chip over the defender. So when the play's gone down the right, it comes back to the holding midfielder and he needs to dink it over. Mikel Arteta could still play. He was good. He used to join in the 5-0s when I first joined at City, and he was one of the coaches.
He's still fit as well, quite lean, and he still does a bit.
I don't know if he still does it at Arsenal, but he did used to join in at City.
And you get a few, don't you? So the art of tackling, then I've got myself into a little bit of trouble at times, as you've seen. Some of mine have not been great. I regret at times, but like you say, you make it. You don't try and hurt anyone. You just at times I've got them wrong, and that's the way it is.
I know you, and you're very competitive. Even now when I seen you at the game the other day, it's serious. I heard you had your own room to prepare for the night, so your family came down.
Oh wow!
And I've heard that you couldn't sleep with the family because you had to prepare correctly.
Well, that's
for the game.
No. That's bending the truth, really. That's not correct.
Don't shoot the messenger.
We're going back to something weeks ago, and I played in that game, right, for Spurs against Milan. If no one can remember, one in the previous episode where I was playing against Pirlo.
And you scored, yeah.
But in that, if I'm honest, it was by default. I got 3 rooms given to me.
Okay.
So I had all the kids, and then it was like, well, who sleeps where? So the 2 boys went together. My daughter was there, so we thought, well, don't leave my daughter on her own. So my wife went there, and there was just one more spare. So
you just decided to just
chilled out there and
relax all night,
stretching and cold baths and.
Okay, fair point.
Best tackler you've ever seen, while we're on.
I was going to mention there about your tackles. Out of the top 10, how many do you own? But I didn't.
Top 10 of best tackles, or do you mean worst tackles?
Worst
so that's
tackles.
Different, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, I don't own too many in the top 10.
How many?
I think it's 2.
Oh, 2.
Yeah, it's not big, it's not clever, it's nothing to be proud of,
No.
I do regret it at times. But
this won't go in the podcast.
It definitely won't. Definitely won't. Oh, positive. Oh, that'll be gone.
We only want positive.
Only positive, yeah. It's all positive. And do you know what's mad now, isn't it? And we're still talking about all this stuff, and that you can see us, can't you? Not just hear us, you can see us as well. BBC, I've got a YouTube channel.
How good is that?
YouTube channel.
Michael Brown and Kyle Walker have their own YouTube channel.
No. We don't have our own YouTube channel.
Oh. We
allowed our podcast, your podcast with me guesting in your podcast. Remember the start and the demo from it, and that carries on every week. Is we are now allowed on the BBC's YouTube channel. It's something like we should have all the words now, right? Shouldn't we?
BBC Sounds YouTube channel.
Yeah, see how we're actually told here, but it's still the same, and everyone knew what we were talking about, didn't they?
And if you want to email us or send a voice note in, please send it to kylewalker@bbc.co.uk. And now I'm going to do...
And do you know, if anyone's obviously still listening and watching, they can watch on this YouTube channel, watch you read that email address out again. And we've done 54 episodes and you still read it from a script down below.
Don't worry.
You think you know what it is now, wouldn't you?
So every episode, we're going to discuss a milestone from my career or a milestone.
I want you to try and remember what your first, rollicking is the word, you could use would be. What was your first of your career and the worst one? So do you remember your first one that you thought, oh, and then what's been your biggest? I'm going, which manager would have done it? I'm trying to think. Poch.
No, my first one.
I
got sent in at I think it was under 18s. Can't remember what I did.
Sheffield United.
Ronnie
Reid.
No, it wasn't Ron Reid. Ron Reid loved me. It wasn't Ron Reid. And I forget his name, but his mum used to work in the kitchen, so I couldn't even argue back because I used to really like his mum.
And you like the food.
You remember Brenda? Was it Brenda?
No, I'm not
Or
sure.
Barbara. She was there for ages, but she was so nice. And it was her son that was the reserve team manager at the time. And he sent me in. And I remember, you know, when you're just walking off the training pitch on your own down to the drain, you know, that walk down
Yeah,
the
it's
cobbles.
lonely, innit, when you're
Yeah, it's
being
a
sent
lonely
in, you
walk.
think,
It's
what's
a lonely
next?
walk. I remember that was my first one.
Who's give you your worst one in
The
your...
worst one,
it'd be Pep. Pep or Poch?
I'd probably say Poch. I wouldn't say Poch personally, but Poch collectively to the team. But Pep's lost his head as well with the team.
Yeah.
I don't think many managers, you know, I look at Warnock and I would say he would have probably gave me one, but I actually did well for him, so he never could really shout at me. Kevin Blackwell. I remember I got a new contract, so I was on my my first pro, and I played a couple of games for Northampton, got recalled back, started a few games for Sheffield United, so I decided I wanted a new car. It was an A3, 1.6 diesel, remember it. But Kyle Norton, a couple of weeks before, went and bought an A5.
Topped you.
Well, I couldn't top him. He was on more than me, so I just had to afford what I could afford. So he went and bought an A5, and he got fined for it because he didn't go and ask the manager for the permission to go and buy the car. So before I've gone and bought this Audi A3, I've had to take Kevin Blackwell, the form of it, of the spec, what colour, what engine, how much the insurance was, everything, and hand it to him and say, like, listen, Gaffer, is it okay if I have this car? He said no. So I walked out of the room thinking, oh my gosh, like, I've already paid for it. It's already got a deposit down. I was just actually being polite and bringing it in. He called me back half an hour later. I was like, no, you can take it, no problem. But he was someone that I obviously gave me my Sheffield United debut. He put the trust in me, and you know, even when I've seen him when he was at Cardiff under Neil Warnock, when Neil was there, you know, I still called him Gaffer, and still have, you know, a lot of respect for him. I know a lot of people in the footballing world don't really like him and Warnock, but for me, they've always been fantastic. And obviously, it's your dad as well, Neil Warnock. So
yeah, they've all been good, haven't they? Quick one to finish on. How did the lesson go? The Italian lesson, was it good? Has it got better?
Fantastic.
Yeah. You got any new words for us or not? Any
we decided
accent change?
I'm a kinetic learner. Is it kinetic?
Okay.
I don't read and learn. I hear and learn.
Okay.
I think it's called kinetic. So that's two words that I could have been completely miles off.
Fantastic. Hear and learn, eh?
Speakers in the ground. What's that word?
The what?
Tannoids?
No, we're not allowed to say because that's going to sound brilliant. That's going to sound brilliant, honestly,
I think I'm a kinetic learner where I learn better when people speak to me rather than looking on the screen and reading.
Fantastic. What do you always leave the podcast with? We can listen, you can hear, you can write in. What's the email address that you can write into?
Kyle Walker at bbc.co.uk. Any voice notes, questions that you got for me and Brownie, topics that you want us to discuss, please let us know.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Double ciao.
Double ciao now.
Can you treble it? Or should we leave that on the next one?
No, I think treble's pushing it a little bit too far, so it's just ciao, ciao. Andiamo.